Playing games, and in particular making men suffer whilst they chase, is one of the tactics women love to use when dating. If she can make you wait whilst holding her options open or force you to be the first one to commit, she has ultimately won. However, we frequently talk about not allowing women to dominate your life and making sure that she doesn't become the one you depend on. But dealing with a woman who plays hard to get can be extremely tough. This video will help you understand the motivation of these games and give you a few tips to ultimately destroy her ego. Why women play hard to get. Playing hard to get is something women have been using for centuries. Since men secretly love the chase, women also encourage this by not giving them a clear sign of their feelings. This often creates a sense of urgency in many men who continue to hunt when a woman's naturally playing a little hard to get. However, there's also another reason women choose to play hard to get. You see, the modern era and the rise of technology have completely revolutionized the dating world. Funnily enough, this was never the case, and technology affecting dating has only been around for the last 5 or so decades. Since everyone around the world can now communicate with anyone they like, it has significantly expanded the dating pool. Women no longer have to settle for someone nearby, and they can use platforms like social media to connect with someone thousands of miles away if they choose. This has naturally expanded the female options, and now she can pick who she wants to date without having to settle for someone she might not be interested in. What women have begun doing is to string one man along who she might be interested in. She does this when she's not completely certain about the guy, and this often leads to women simply ghosting men when they found someone new. You see, women tend to play hard to get to keep these guys from coming and chasing them. Finally, hard to get is also a tactic women use to determine whether a guy truly likes her or not. You see, men have notoriously made a habit of using women who are not that guarded. This means that by the time she meets a good person, like yourself, she's extremely guarded about herself, and this is when games like hard to get come to the forefront. Ultimately, women who like playing hard to get is something that will never truly disappear. As a man, the only thing we can do is focus on how to break through these games. Since these games are often driven by her ego, the best thing you can do is bring her ego back to earth. The following tricks will help you do just that when a woman's playing hard to get. Number 1, return the favor. The first tip might seem a little counterintuitive, but one of the best ways you can deal with a woman playing hard to get is simply returning the favor. Now, this doesn't mean that you should play the same game. However, some of the components in these games involve ignoring men and even canceling dates. One of the best ways to deal with such things is to simply return the favor. You see, one of the biggest fears that most women have is that of being rejected. Rejection is a sure way to bring a woman back down to earth and to make sure that she understands that you're not going to play these games. We recommend that if she ignores you, you just go about your day and simply respond whenever you have the time if she eventually does. You should immediately reduce the level of effort you're putting into this as a way to ultimately balance it back out again. Number 2, it's not a big deal. Another major issue with many men is how they react when things like this happen. The fact of the matter is that it will happen, and there's absolutely nothing you can really do about this. However, when you remove yourself from the emotions and feelings, you'll quickly see that it's not such a big deal. In fact, there was a time before you ever started communicating with this woman. If she ignores you, you simply need to default back to the person who you were before she started playing these games. You see, women naturally play these games as a way of trying to elicit some kind of reaction from men. However, if she doesn't get any reaction from you, she doesn't have any use in continuing these games. It also tends to stop her momentum whilst playing these games almost dead in its tracks. Your first course of action when a woman does play these games is to simply let her play them and then continue about your everyday life. You'll quickly notice that she comes back to you, which completely ruins her ego and puts the power of the relationship firmly in your hands again. Number 3, don't be the friend. Another reason women play these games is to try and encourage a man to become their best friend. Aside from being a great partner, women love having options, and when she has a plethora of friends around her, she knows that these men are only friends because they're interested in dating her. Women employ these games as one of their tactics to get men to submit and slot into the friend zone and become another option. The scary reality is that most men often choose this path, and they end up being in the friend zone, which can make them bitter as they realize she's choosing different men. Your goal is to never enter the friend zone, and ideally, you want to make sure that she always sees you as a dating possibility. If a woman's trying to push you toward the friend zone, one of your best responses is to simply walk away. Once again, this taps into a woman's natural fear of rejection, and you are destroying her ego. Once she realizes that you're no longer an option, she might come back to you to reopen talks, or she might just walk away. Either way, you're no longer being strung along and you can comfortably continue about your life. Number 4, create more options for yourself. Since women are permitted to have numerous options due to the hypergamorous nature of the dating scene, it's also something that men have found to work for themselves. You see, the world always tries to tell you that you need to find a woman and then completely commit to her and create some kind of relationship. However, this is not always the best course of action, and it's often better to have numerous options for yourself. You see, having more options shows women that other women find you attractive. This creates a small sense of competition inside her mind, and you naturally seem like a more valuable type of person. Additionally, you'll also find that when you have more options, you're less likely to be too obsessed with a single woman. You'll find that by being less obsessed with a woman, you're making far better choices, and these choices will often make it seem like you're in hot demand. It might not seem like much, but women truly love it when a man is in hot demand, and it gives him additional social acceptance among the herds of people. It's always better to have more than less, and it also tends to occupy your free time, which you often try to chase after one woman. Number 5, walk away. If you truly want to stunt any kind of game a woman plays, the best thing you can do is to completely walk away from the situation. You see, it's not a good thing when dealing with a woman who still loves playing games. You can expect this passive-aggressive kind of behavior to naturally continue into the relationship. By walking away, you are setting a standard, and it's this standard-setting process which might not make people like you, but it does show that you're a principled person who has some self-respect. Whilst many might not agree with this, the best way to deal with a situation in which a woman disrespects you is to walk away and earn some respect. You see, women also see this as rejection, but what truly kills her ego in the process is the fact that you don't have to rely on her for communication anymore. Also, few women know what it feels like when a man sets good standards and walks away, which could naturally change her approach as well, especially when it comes to other men. Number 6. Focus on improving yourself. A major problem with men, which often leads to them being strung along, is when they change their focus from their goals and seeking purpose to chasing a woman. You see, women are extremely intuitive, and they often sense when a man has given up everything else to focus on chasing her. One of the best ways to change this tide is to choose a goal and focus on it, regardless of the outcome of your supposed situation. This allows a woman to see that even if she doesn't like you, you're still grinding away every day and working hard to achieve your goals. Not only is this very attractive to women, but it also shows her that she might need to be the one to chase. It also indicates that regardless of what she's doing, you are steadfast in your own goals and you're focused on achieving them. One thing we found is that women are highly drawn to a man's prospects of success. This means that she's not necessarily looking for someone who has it all done in life, but rather someone who can promise future success. When you're highly driven and focused on achieving goals, this is something that she naturally sees, and you become far more attracted to it. Number 7, reject her. As mentioned a few times already in this video, rejection is one of the biggest fears that almost every woman on the planet has to deal with. You see, no one wants to deal with rejection, and women tend to take it much harder than men. Since women don't grow up with a culture of dealing with rejection, it's often a skill they only learn later in life. This means that the probability that the woman you're looking to date has never had to deal with being rejected in her life before. We all know that rejection is just another common thing in everyday life. However, when you start rejecting a woman, she might be shocked and think that maybe she's the problem. Many women will naturally want to find out why you're rejecting her, which, once again, shifts the balance of power back in your favor. We don't recommend that you simply reject her when she hasn't done anything wrong, but the moment she begins to play games, you can take a firm stand and directly tell her that you're not interested. A woman might fight back as a way of trying to justify her actions, but when you remain steadfast in your decision, she realizes that she messed up. Number 8. Calling her out on these games. The next one could lead to a little bit of a conflict. And we should warn you that if you're not strong enough to simply walk away or accept that things might not go well, you should not use this tactic. It's a very high-risk, high-reward tactic. Since you've been watching these videos, you probably have an idea of the various games women play. In almost every single one of our videos, you'll find various games that women tend to play, which reveal who they truly are. If you have enough confidence, you can easily stunt these games by directly addressing them and telling her that you're not looking to play games. Since women consider what they're doing subliminal and always leave room for plausible deniability, you'll be faced with an accusation that you might be making things up. However, when you call her out on these games, it will naturally stunt her progress, and you'll see that she becomes defensive. She'll not accept that she's wrong. And this is when you need to make your point and move on. By walking away, you're once again prying on her fear of rejection. However, we also recommend that you leave her with the final word. Once she's spoken and you do not respond, she will wonder whether or not it actually made an impact. Number 9, date someone else. Perhaps one of the biggest ways to destroy a woman's ego, especially if she thinks that she's in control, is when you disappear and suddenly reappear with someone else. You see, she might be thinking that you're constantly worried about what she's doing and that you miss her. However, she'll not be prepared for you to arrive with someone else. Now, you'll be ridiculed and criticized significantly when doing this, but it doesn't matter. You see, hatred and frustration are another form of emotion, and the only thing that can be the opposite of love is indifference. As long as you're bringing out some kind of reaction from a woman, you're actually in control and the one who's naturally dominating the situation. Even though she might not like this, and even say things like, she hates you, she'll always remember you as the guy who did not fall for her games. We've also seen how this pays you back later in life. In many cases, these women keep tabs on the guy, and when his relationship doesn't work out, she might be quick to swoop in. In some cases, she might even try to break up your current relationship. Number 10, stay in her life. Lastly, we recommend that you stay in her life, which might seem counterintuitive to what we've just said. However, you should not become her friend, but rather ensure that you don't lose your friends. If you're invited to a party where she'll be, you have to go. However, it's also important that you work hard to make yourself seem like the winner. This means working out in the gym to look your best and making sure you're dressed to impress. Once you take your game up a level, she'll ask herself what went wrong, and this is when she might want to speak to you privately. Now, all of this might seem like games, but one of the main reasons why these relationships often end up in marriage is due to the level of sexual tension that is inadvertently created between two people. As you know by now, sexual tension is the number one thing when it comes to attraction. Women have and always will play these games. It's simply part of being a human being. However, there are also many men who keep playing games, and this will never work when it comes to finding a great woman. Once you can build enough sexual tension, you'll see far better results. We recommend checking out this next video to learn how to do so.